Your Excellency, there is a 12-year-old boy, 𝗗𝗶𝗿𝘀𝗁 from Rongai, whose mother narrated how his boy was basically just going to get books for his schoolwork. There is 𝗬𝚻, who was shot in the middle of the street in Nairobi. And these are real human beings. Don't you feel a sense of responsibility for what is going on in the country?
I have no blood on my hands.
This boy, 12-year-old, took 8 bullets. 8 bullets into the body of a 12-year-old boy. What would you tell the mother of that boy?
That boy is alive, right?
No, it's not.
Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's Ndagire here. Thanks for coming. Today's video is something that I've shared in the past videos about the situation going on in Kenya, and honestly I must say it's really tragic. It's really tragic. And what really makes it more tragic is having leaders, having people in power that don't really care about the health, the lives, and their citizens, because clearly that's how it looks like. So I'm going to share a video of what the president of Kenya responded with on the death of the people from the police, literally the police shooting at people who were just showing how unsatisfied they are with the government. And this is something that is really common even in my country. You can't say nothing, like you can't even go on the street to say anything. You'll be dead on the street immediately. Like, that's facts. It is facts. But yeah guys, watch and listen to what the president had to say about the situation. Come back and let's say a few things about it.
Protesters want you out of office. How do you respond to that?
Everybody is entitled to their opinion. I have a job to do. We are a country of rules. We are a constitutional democracy and citizens, because we all enjoy the freedom of speech, freedom of thought. Citizens are free to engage in discourse that they want to, but that is what it is. Those are the fruits and signs of a democracy.
But this is no ordinary discourse, Mr. President. Over 20 people are dead. 39 are missing through state-driven abductions. And first, they're asking a very simple question. 24 people dead. Your Excellency, do you have blood on your hands?
I have no blood on my hands. 19 people, to the record that I have from the security agencies, are dead. Very unfortunate. As a democracy, that should not be part of our conversation. 2.4 billion of property has been destroyed. The office of the Chief Justice has been burnt. City Hall has been burnt. Parliament has been burnt. That is the situation. We have 19 people dead.
Your Excellency.
We have 19 people dead.
I said 24. You said 19. Let's turn lives.
And number 2,
Your Excellency,
on abductions.
Your Excellency, let's turn lives. There are people who are burying their children, whether they're 19 or 24, and they're watching now, and they want to see how you feel about the deaths. Give us your feelings, Your Excellency.
Let me tell you.
And you could give examples, Your Excellency. There is a 12-year-old boy, 𝗗𝗶𝗿𝗀𝗁 from Rongai, whose mother narrated how his boy was basically just going to get books for his schoolwork. There is 𝗬𝚻, who was shot in the middle of the street in Nairobi. And these are real human beings. Don't you feel a sense of responsibility for what is going on in the country?
Let me tell you the following. Any life that is lost is something that must bother anybody, beginning with myself. And it is the reason why I have told you that when I came into office, I said 3 things. Number 1, I said there will be no extrajudicial killing in Kenya. That's number 1. And I have made sure that there is no extrajudicial killing in Kenya. That's number 1. Number 2, when I came into office, I said I want an independent police service. And I did sign the necessary instruments so that the police does not need permission, does not need authority, and does not report to the office of the president. The police operational, financial independence, I have made sure that the police don't have to ask me, don't ask to ask anybody. They operate independently. And number 4, it is true that children got into situations that they became victims of the demonstrations. What started to all of us, and I have spoken about it, I have said, the young people who have stepped forward, political discourse of their country in a peaceful manner, tribeless, are a welcome development in Kenya. That I said. But let me also say the following. These great young people who have stepped forward to prosecute their agenda, the affairs of the country, I am certain that they did not ban parliament. Criminals and other agents who took advantage of a legitimate concern of Kenyans stepped in, went and banned the Chief Justice's office, went and banned City Hall, went and banned Parliament, and destroyed property of innocent citizens.
The parents, Mr. President, what are you telling them? These things have happened under your watch. I am
telling every parent, I have kids like they do. And I care when there are issues in town where criminals can take advantage of situations and create a situation where the police have to use rubber bullets, the police have to use live bullets in some cases, because that is what an independent police service has to do. And I am sure the police have a record and have an explanation for every incident that they were engaged in.
And here is the incident, Mr. President. Just a moment, here is the incident, Mr. President. This boy, 12-year-old, took 8 bullets into the body of a 12-year-old boy. What would you tell the mother of that boy?
That boy is alive, right?
No, it's not.
Can you imagine someone asking you about the death of someone's child? Like someone is still mourning for their child who was just going to a shop to literally buy school stuff for themselves to go to school, and they were shot down, and they ask you about how you feel about it. And clearly, this person has nothing to say about it. Literally, he's saying, don't ask me these questions. You need to go and ask the police about the shooting of these people. But you're the head of state. You are the head of state. And it's really sad seeing someone who has no remorse, literally, has no empathy, has no emotion. Like, there's literally no emotion coming out from this person. I mean, you can pretend, right? You can pretend to care even if you don't, but he's not even pretending. He's not even hiding it. He's so relaxed, seated back with the legs crossed, because he was excusing the question of how he felt about the death of people, especially minor children. Like, he doesn't care. He's only talking about how he had promised the people of Kenya that when he was coming in power, he was to do specific things, and he did those things, and he has no blood on his hands, literally, because the police is not potentially, allegedly, in his power, because they are a private sector. Is that really a leader that is caring for their people? Does this look like a leader that is really fighting for the growth of his people? And I always say this, the people are not mad about the taxes being increased, because I mean, we have to pay taxes because we want our countries to also develop and grow and be better for us as a people. The only problem comes in when we see our governments get money from the Western countries, get money from the Russians, from the Chinese, from the Indians, from the Arabs, from whatsoever. We see that every single day. When that money lands in their checks, in their banks, in the countries of our continent, Africa as a whole, because there's a lot of corruption going on, which is crazy. The money is gone. We don't see what that money is doing. Roads not worked on, hospitals not worked on, education not fixed, technology not worked on. Like, why do these governments keep on getting money from the outside world and still not do better for us, but still want to increase and raise our taxes? I mean, I'm a woman, right? I have a lot of children that I see that are girls that don't have access to pads. I always say that. Even in Kenya, in parliament, they were talking about how pads are expensive. Girls can't access pads. Like, you want us to walk with blood on our body? Because maybe that's how they would understand it, that we are beings that were created with blood coming out of our bodies. I mean, what should we say about it? But let's continue.
Kennedy Onyango died.
He's died.
So he's the one who died?
Yes.
So you're not talking about the person who was shot with rubber bullets?
No.
No.
Yeah?
Shot with bullets 8 times.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
In Ngong, this is the situation in Ngong, right? In Ngong, there was an incident where the police were overpowered by criminals. They took a firearm from the police. They used that firearm against people. And one policeman had to shoot this fellow who had hijacked a gun from a policeman so that not to endanger the lives of more citizens. It is among the 3 people. One of the criminals is among the 3 people who was shot by the police after they overpowered the police and took the bullet and took the gun from the police and used it against innocent citizens. I cannot confirm to you that this is not the man that shot the child, but investigations are going on and we will get to the bottom of it.
Mr. President,
I am telling the mother of this young person that I, as president, will make sure that finally I will give her an explanation of what really happened and make sure that we bring this to a situation where, like her, like myself who have children, she too her child can be accounted for.
Mr. President, the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights is the one that has accounted for 24 bodies lying in morgues. And those bodies, the records show that these people either died in hospital and while undergoing treatment for gunshot wounds, or they ended up in the morgue in the last 2 weeks with gunshot wounds. 24. These 24, Mr. President, are you saying that the security agencies have told you that these 24 were criminals, that these 24 were armed, they were posing a danger to the police officers, and that is what necessitated the police to use live bullets on them? Because the circumstances for the police officer to use a live bullet is clear, even in their own code of operations. It is when the life of that police officer is in danger, or when somebody else's life is clearly in danger, and the person who's endangering that person is armed. Were the 24 armed? Did they pose a danger, a direct threat to the police?
2 things. The same Kenya Human Rights Commission.
Kenya National Commission.
Kenya National Commission.
The government agency.
Yeah, the government agency.
Yes.
Told the nation that there was a massacre in 𝗗𝗶𝗿 and 20 people were killed in 𝗗𝗶𝗿. Were 20 people killed in 𝗗𝗶𝗿? Really?
The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights does not have records of 20 people killed in 𝗗𝗶𝗿.
But that's their statement. It is a statement that is public. You know? So the same Kenya Human Rights, Kenya Commission, National Human Rights Commission told the country a blatant fake news falsehood.
Are you saying this,
a massacre?
This 24 is also...
You ask me a question. Allow me to answer.
Yes.
That's what they told the country. So an organization that can tell the country without verifying that there was a massacre in 𝗗𝗶𝗿. In fact, BBC on that account, went to investigate in 𝗙𝗶𝗿. And of course, you have read, BBC has said there was no massacre in 𝗙𝗶𝗿.
Mr. President,
there was one person who was shot by the police. Let me answer. So, an organization that is as reckless as to say there was a massacre when there was none, now is telling us there are 24, the police are saying 19. We will find out where the numbers are. Okay. But that is the credibility of the organization that you are telling.
Mr. President, that may well be.
Let me also...
my question,
just on
Mr.
that
President,
issue, just so that Eric can follow up.
The people who died,
yeah, that's where I'm coming.
Were they a danger to the police?
That's where I'm coming.
Are they the criminals that you're talking about?
Let me tell you two things. There will be an investigation on how these 19 Kenyans died. There will be a clarity, an explanation for each and every one of them. There will be an investigation of how these Amaris were attacked.
Mr. President, you may not believe the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, but surely you would believe your own deputy who has said there's been a return to extrajudicial killings and abductions, contrary to what you and him promised the people of Kenya.
Let me tell you, I am the president, and I speak for the government of Kenya. I made 3 commitments that I will make sure the police is independent, and I did that on my first day in office. Number 2, I said there will be no extrajudicial killing in Kenya. I have kept my promise. Number 3, I have told you that if there is any arrest by the police, that does not amount to an abduction.
And I just want us to go to that video over there, which will play on air. And let's post and watch it together, Your Excellency. Let's watch this video.
Sell them to the people of Kenya. There are enough intelligent people in Kenya to differentiate what is good from what is better and what is best.
Some time?
Ni jambo mbaya sana kama tutatumia askari polisi. Kuna maoni tofauti ya kisiasa.
Waeleza ya kwamba these people don't understand the damage they are doing to the people and the economy of Kenya.
All right.
Yes, the video in contention here was recorded earlier today.
Yes.
That of former MP 𝗙𝗶𝗿𝗀𝗃 being abducted in broad daylight. Mr. President, before you even talk about the entire incident, the children were screaming, and a sound that we believe belongs to the wife was also heard, screaming in distress. How does that make you feel?
3 things. I have told you, I made a deliberate decision to make sure that the police operate independently. That's number 1. I would suggest, instead of us having a back and forth, the police have released a statement. Can you check what the police have released, the statement?
And you still not answered my question.
Which
the
was?
wife and children screaming that way.
I mean...
How do you feel, Your Excellency?
I mean, my friend, every child, every mother feels the same when their parent is under attack. I mean, that is what it is. But let me ask you, what about the children? What about the children of those who have lost their lives because of the criminality of others? Don't they feel the same? Because they don't know how to face tomorrow.
Mr. President,
their businesses have been wiped out.
Yeah.
Their incomes have been destroyed. I have just told you 2.4 billion shillings worth of business has been destroyed.
I hear you,
and today, as I talk to you this evening, there are families who have tears. There are families who do not know how to face tomorrow.
And I've asked you very specifically, President, how do you feel about those tears, especially those who have been killed by police bullets?
It is horrible. It is horrible. When you find a situation where people are grieving, whether they are grieving because their parents have been arrested, or they are grieving because their hard-earned earnings of many years, monies there. I have on my phone people who are saying, I borrowed money. My whole loan has been wiped out. My whole barbershop has been destroyed. My whole hardware has been looted and burnt. And they are in tears. So I must equally work with the police to protect all these citizens. And it cuts both ways, Linus. It cuts both ways.
Using the rule of law.
Absolutely.
Let me take you to just step by step.
Absolutely, the rule of law.
The rule of law says. The rule of law requires the police to investigate a matter, to, when they have sufficient evidence, present that to the ODPP. The Director of Public Prosecutions takes people who are culpable to court. That's the journey in the rule of law, Mr. President. In the case of 39 people who have been abducted, and the abduction here, we're using it deliberately because of the manner in which the people have been arrested, like we've seen in the case of Alfred Keter. Others who've been picked up from their houses in the middle of the night, and they are held incommunicado for more than 24 hours outside of what the rule of law says. And then they are not taken to court, so they are not charged with anything. That is outside of the rule of law. So in one instance here we are saying we are not following the rule of law. In the second instance, Mr. President, you have people who were unarmed, like in the case of Rex, who was shot in the middle of the night, unarmed, who have been shot by police and they've ended up dead. 24 of them. You say 19. That again is extrajudicial. Because there is no justification that has been produced to show that there was justification for the police to use the excessive force. So basically we are showing examples where the rule of law, which you promised to uphold, which you also set and said, this is what the police has been doing. And you said, Mr. President, as you took office, that the problems with the police service also are going to the top, the leadership of the police service. And you promised the people of Kenya that you're going to hold the police to account outside of the rule of law and accountability, which comes to your desk. Are you holding the police accountable for 39 people abducted, for 24 people killed, for 627 people arrested and not charged, for 431 people injured by live bullets, rubber bullets, tear gas canisters, police batons?
Latif, as I have told you, we must operate within the parameters of the rule of law. And I agree with you. The police must never act outside the framework of the rule of law. They must do that which only the Constitution and the law allows them to do. And it is very clear that any operation of the police outside the parameters of the law, the police will be held to account. Whether it is holding citizens beyond the stipulated time, but I must be thoroughly clear to you. When police arrest somebody, there is a constitutional timeline which they are allowed by the law to hold that person.
24 hours.
That does not amount to an abduction.
24 hours.
In my opinion. But let me ask you one question also, Latif. I have never, in this conversation, which is now 20 minutes in, are you guys bothered about the fact that Parliament was burnt? Are you guys concerned that millions of businesses of Kenyans, hardworking Kenyans, were destroyed? How do you feel?
But it all happened.
How do you feel?
It all happened under your watch, Mr. President.
No, but this is
at the end of the day,
this is why we are saying
you sought to keep us safe.
We must be even. You know, we must be even. The police have a difficult job. They have to make sure the peaceful demonstrators are protected. But they also must make sure that the criminals And when you say criminals, when I said the other day criminals, many people took offense that I was calling the demonstrators criminals. That's not.
Families of the dead, Your
that is not.
That's a lot of offense. Family of Rex. Rex was killed in a week when the protesters were very peaceful. The first week of these protests were peaceful. We saw protesters carrying
placards
and water bottles.
Rex was killed on his way out of work.
Let me
How do you feel? I mean,
let me tell you
when they hear you say criminals.
I mean, are you telling me Rex is the one who burned Parliament?
But Rex died without breaking anything.
No, I'm just telling you.
He died.
Rex
There are criminals who infiltrated and caused mayhem. And in fact, some of the criminals are actually harmed. They actually harmed the peaceful protesters.
Mr. President, the concern I've heard from the young people, because I've been speaking to a lot of them, and they said they haven't heard you. In the two statements, actually there are more now because you have spoken in other settings, apart from the two addresses you gave. They haven't heard you address them. They haven't heard you talk to these parents. They haven't heard you acknowledge that there were people who were shot by police in circumstances that did not warrant that. Are you saying you haven't seen anything that bothers you about how police responded to these protests?
I am very, and I have, and in my first statement, I clearly said that innocent lives were lost. In my second statement, I said the same. There were innocent lives lost. But also equally, as a person who is responsible, I must think about those who are suffering because they were innocent. But I must also be concerned about those who are suffering because criminals cause them immense harm. And that is the balance that I need to be able to lead a country. I must protect everybody. I must protect the protesters, and I must be concerned about their lives. I must also protect innocent people who become victims of criminals who take advantage of a peaceful, democratic process that goes on in our country.
Do you feel that you protected all those people in the last couple of days, whether it is people who have businesses, whether it is Parliament, whether it is the people who lost their children?
I did my best. If I hadn't done what I did, things would have been much worse. In fact, many people ask me, Mr. President, why did you call in the army? I mean, what choice did I have? I mean, it would have been very reckless of me in the face of the kind of harm people had gone through, the 19 lives that were already lost, in the face of a burning Chief Justice Office, Parliament, and the rest of it. I mean, it would have been very reckless of me not to mobilize every arm of government and every arm of our security agencies to protect the country and to protect lives.
I must say, I am so happy with what the reporters were asking the president and the boldness these interviewers, these reporters had or have is what I would request a lot of us to have. Because when we question these people with this boldness, without fear, they will start to understand that we are actually serious. Asking you about the deaths of people and ignoring the question, talking about other things, is the most insensitive, crazy kind of emotion, character, behavior that you can show on a national platform as a leader. Not showing any remorse is the craziest thing you can ever do as a person that pretends and says you're for the people and doing better for the people. How? So when the reporters really ask these right questions, I really love it and really put the light on these people that pretend to be for their people, but they don't. They only do what the Western people want or what the Western governments want from them. I mean, they are already in leadership. They just have to go and sign, things that you don't know about. They just have to go and do deals with these other outside governments that we don't even know about, and they even have the audacity to come out and give us bills of money on how there's confidential things that need to be worked on, which confidential things were luxury airplanes, luxury homes, luxury houses, luxury lifestyle. Is that the confidential part of it on where our tax money goes to? Make it make sense. And I'll always say this: colonization today in 2024 is not because of the white people. It's because of us as a people and our leaders. It's definitely because of the people that are in power that continue to loot us as the citizens of Africa and sell us off every single day by pretending to be puppet leaders, like they cannot stand up, like the way the president of Burkina Faso is doing. Like how the leaders in West Africa are trying to stand up for their truth. If the governments of the West come to our African leaders, offer them things, and our leaders refuse, there is no way we are not going to stand and stick by our leaders. But the fact that they are choosing the Western governments over us as a people is wild. And us protesting is us being gangsters, us being criminal, when they are the biggest kind of criminals that exist in our countries, is so funny and really wild to hear. Like how the president of Kenya was saying the protesters that went on the streets were criminals, and potentially, allegedly, they might be the ones that caused the death of people that were shot by guns from the police. That's what he said. You heard what he said. I don't even want to say more about this situation. I think I've said enough, and I'll always say this: Africa is the way it is today. The colonization is the way it is today because of our leaders, and they enjoy seeing us oppressed, enjoy seeing Africa colonized, enjoy seeing Africa down and under everybody. I mean, if they didn't want that, they would not be out here selling us off. If they really wanted to see Africa develop, that's the fact. If they really wanted to see Africa develop, they will be using and utilizing the money they get from the Western countries to better us as a people, to better us and, make us grow and be a superpower ourselves. But they clearly don't want to see that. They want to be under the other party, the Western influence, the Western governments. It's what they live for. This shows that this is what they live for. They would rather choose the money of the Western governments over the loyalty of their people that can actually fight for their own countries. Because if we had strong leaders that loved our countries in Africa, we as a people would do the most to fight for our countries. We would. Guys, that is it for me in the video. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. As always, I appreciate the super chats, the members. It means a lot. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.